Hello and welcome back to sunny Rochester, where now it's the men's turn to take on the HSBC UK National Circuit Race Championships. What a race we've just seen. That dominance from Bex and Anna and their whole team was absolutely fantastic. But now, as you can see behind me, the men are lining up and they are all fighting for that top position. And not only that, of course, the chance to wear those national stripes on their kit. It's so coveted. We'll get it underway very shortly. But first, let's remind ourselves of everything that happened last year in Stockton-on-Tees.
Here we go. It's coming out the last corner, 3 men wide. Petcock up outside, but here comes Gibson up the inside. What an audacious move there by Gibson. Is he going to hang on here? Petcock's over the back of him, but it looks like Mark Gibson from JLT Condor's going to take the national championship.
A brilliant result and victory there for Matt Gibson. He's not lining up tonight, but as you can see, there's a big field lining up behind me tonight in Rochester. So before we get to all tonight's action, let's take a closer look at this race venue. Midway's City of Rochester is the home of the National Circuit Championships for 2019. The 1.6 kilometre circuit passes the monumental medieval Rochester Castle, one of the many landmarks of the city's rich historical background. Alongside Rochester Cathedral and the neighbouring Chatham Dockyard, the iconic cobbled streets were a favourite of Charles Dickens, who used the city as a heavy influence for much of his work. Midway history also stretches into the world of cycling, having previously hosted a stage at the Tour de France back in 2007, and since then the city has built up its cycling culture massively, now providing over 70 miles of on- and off-road cycling routes for everyone to enjoy. From Rochester's impressive landmarks to the iconic cobbles and vicious corners, this circuit will really put the riders to the test this weekend, and it is safe to say that we all have great expectations for this race. I'm on the line now with Matt Bostick, and it's fair to say you've had so much dominance in the series coming into tonight. A lot of eyes on you, but how are you feeling?
I'm excited, yeah. I'm looking forward to it, and it should be a good race.
What do you make of this circuit? I know you've all had a little bit of a recce tonight.
It's tight and technical, bit dodgy, so I think it'll be a race from the front, and most important could be the start.
Okay, getting pushed out of the way a little bit here, but good luck tonight. Now let's head over to the commentary box with James McCallum and once again Hannah Walker.
Well, that's one way of getting your face on television, isn't it? Hey folks, thanks for joining us tonight. This is the big one tonight. We've seen Matt Bostick take 5 rounds out of 5. Can he tonight take the national championship?
Yeah, well, that is the question. You know, he's been saying round upon round at the circuit series that he's tired, but then he's gone on to win. Yep. So, you know, how much has that affected him for the race today? He raced at Barnsley just 2 days ago, took the victory. He's definitely going to be a marked man.
Let's take a look at the map, though, of the circuit, because tonight's a really interesting. It's a really nice circuit all around Rochester, around basically the perimeter of the Rochester Castle. So we got a really fast home straight, tight left-hand hairpin up on a nice smooth tarmac, but there's a lot of cobbles, a lot of change of surface, a few big speed bumps, but a really fast finish here, Hannah.
Yeah, as you go into the finishing straight, there's a left-hander, which, as we saw in the women's race, it's a little bit like a 50p. It's not, completely left smooth turn, but you come off it with a lot of speed after that downhill. You can see the rider there who pushed his way out. He's ended up getting on the front row.
Nice to reverse himself into the front of the grid. Good man. Good to see. So we can just see a little bit of the nerves in the front of the faces of the riders here as we'll have this first lap will be neutral. As always, this is absolute chaos, but even more so right now because in the best part of 20 metres time they're going to take a really tight left-hander, and this is going to become one very thin road very quickly.
Yeah, you don't want to you see already.
You see right away, yep.
All the riders get caught up there. It goes so narrow with so many riders. It's a neutral lap, which is good, so all those riders won't be affected too much. But Yeah, not the ideal start, and it just shows that you want to be at the front for the majority of this race, like we saw in the women's race. Just ride it hard from the start.
Yes, and now we look at a lot of the previous winners. So we see obviously Matt Gibson, Tom Petcock, Chris Lawless. Neither of them are here tonight. Ian Bibby, he's here. Can Bibby turn this around? Because this is actually a course that would really, really suit Ian Bibby, and we actually didn't even think about him on our list of 5 people who could win this race.
Yeah, and Bibby won in Barnsley in 2015, and it was kind of a circuit very similar to this, where there was a short, sharp climb, and it was technical, and it certainly suits Bibby as a cyclocross rider. He's a former cyclocross champion. That a circuit like this really plays into his hands.
So you can see up there on the left-hand side, folks, there are Hannah and I's picks of the ones to watch tonight. Jonathan Mould, obviously. Mouldy has been so close so many times in the National Championship. He's been the bridesmaid pretty much for the last 5 years. He'll be really nervous tonight, but one man who should not be nervous whatsoever is the man in the centre of a picture there, just in the second line, Matt Bostick. He's got an incredibly strong team around about him, as he has had all season. Canyon DHB have been, let's be honest, they've been very, very dominant across the board in the UK this year, haven't they?
Yeah, not just in circuit races, but also on the road. You see Joey Walker just moves out there, lets his teammate John Mould come through, but Canyon DHB, Andy Tennant's back after injury from the Tour Series, so great to see him back into the mix.
Yeah, pretty much almost snapped his finger off. But don't forget, folks, please use that hashtag National Circuit Champs. Any questions, any comments, we will do our best to answer them while we're watching the action.
Send in your predictions who you think could be victorious tonight. The 46 starters on the line in this national championship.
Nice little message there from @Perry Holmes. It's amazing to see elite athletes on the streets of Rochester. Yep, we are back. Obviously, we've had some of the bigger World Tour races come through here, but obviously Rochester played host in 1995, the last time we had a circuit race in Rochester. But right away, the race is off. We need to get that motorbike out of the way, because right now they're going to hit one of the fastest and most technical aspects of this circuit.
Yeah, as they go past the castle of Rochester, becomes very, very narrow here. So positioning is key before they get onto the narrow downhill section, before turning left onto that finishing straight.
And that's one of the privateers there, Ollie Moores. Not the same Ollie Moores who's a singer, but if he was, I'd be very impressed. But he's not interested in hanging about tonight. He's straight on the front, wants to put himself on the front foot, and he knows just how important this is, because right away we're in one straight line. The motorway pulled away, and now they've got to negotiate this really fast left-hander, which we've already seen previously, just moments ago in the women's race, has caused a few problems, hasn't it, Hannah?
Yeah, it certainly has. Ollie Moores setting the pace here. Based himself in Belgium, so he's used to this fast type of racing. As we have our first attack of the night, Mould comes to the front, Joey Walker in his wheel.
It's more of a fight for positioning right now, isn't it? Because they know this is such an important part of this race. As we do know, in circuit races, you always have to be in the front foot. You have to speculate to accumulate, give yourself that bit of free space so you can pick your way around the course. You can see the difficulties, you can see the change of the surface. But Mould, you know what? He's lit it up straight away and followed very, very quickly there by Matt Bostock from Canyon DHB.
Yeah, those two have, been at it for the whole circuit series. Bostock, obviously been very, very dominant. But, Mould, he could have watched the women's race, seen how it had panned out, and he knows, he's ridden around the circuit a lot of times. You've been able to watch it on the videos, the pre-race videos that British Cycling have done. So you know the circuit well. You need to know every inch and really clue yourself up on how you can ride this and how you can win this race. But yeah, maybe these riders at the front now, they've seen how the women's race panned out. They know what they need to do. They knew it had gone from the early parts of the race.
I think
Can't get
potentially
caught out.
the same rules may apply here, because there's plenty of numbers from all of the big teams. That one person we haven't spoke about yet, and he was in our top 5, Stephen Lampier from St Piran. This is the kind of circuit race which Lampier thrives on. Proper punchy, technical, but it's a real dogfight of a circuit, isn't it?
Yeah, and he's got so much experience as well. He's probably one of the most experienced riders in this bunch tonight. Actually, I think one of them's just coming up on the left-hand side from St Piran. We'll see if that's...
Well, that's from Canyon. No, that's from Richardson Trek, isn't it?
But a little bit further back. But yeah,
could be Isaac Mundy.
Definitely will be a circuit to suit Lampier. But he needs to be up the front as soon as possible, because once that split goes and the elastic breaks, it's very, very hard to bring back.
Yeah, absolutely. As you
Lampier
see there,
looks
Joey
like he's
Walker
sitting around 15th place, just coming round here. As you can see, he's just gone round there, number 31. So
He's a wily dog, as Lampard. He's been around a long time, been part of lots of the biggest teams in the UK, and now obviously helping the St Piran team become one of the best development teams in the UK and in British cycling in general. But we can see right away at the front, the son of the living legend when it comes to criterium racing. His father raced here back in 1995.
We were watching it earlier, weren't we?
Yep, we were. We were catching up, doing a bit of homework, and to be honest with you, the apples do not fall far from the trees, because Joey Walker is one of the best circuit racers in the UK.
Yeah, he can do it all. You know, he's a good climber, he's a good punchy rider, and you know, he's got a good sprint on him as well. And you know, with his father Chris Walker racing here, you know, he could have given him a lot of tips of what and how to race it. But yeah, Joey Walker, one of the best and most up and coming racers. As he attacks up this climb down, Gab's colleague, it looks like, in his wheel, or is that Ollie Moore still?
It's definitely Gab's colleague. Can tell with that big muscular physique of Gab's colleague.
They're going so fast around these corners, the motorbike's almost not able to get out of the corners quick enough.
Absolutely, and we were actually just talking about Stephen Lampier and how influential he has been in this type of racing over the years. A former winner of the Sprint jersey twice in the Tour Series, but we've actually had an interview with Steve earlier on, so it'll be interesting to see what his thoughts are on tonight's circuit.
As I can see, you're the only rider from the team here tonight, but you seem up for it.
Of course you are, it's national champs. You have to be up for it. As there's no point turning up like some people will today.
What do you make of the course?
It's hard. Like, we saw a friend of mine lives in Rochester, and he was going, oh yeah, Lampshire's good course, suits you, you know, the really hard hill. The hill's not so bad, it's the corner going into the hill which is just going to split it. You know, you can be around that corner and people are still on the flat, so that is going to be the early decisive moment. And then once the races, you got into groups and settled down, then it's, you know, normal crit action resumed.
Now, I'm not saying you're not young, but how much does that experience help you on a circuit like this? Because you know exactly where it's going to string out, where you need to be positioned.
Well, I'm old enough to know better, really. Yeah, there's a lot of age hindsight kind of thing going into it, but you know, everyone that's going to be up there in the top 10, 15, you know, they're experienced crit riders anyway, so they'll all know that. Plus, they've got, you know, experienced DS's, team managers, which will, you know, guide them, tell them where it could go, you know. So it's, yeah, age helps, but then I haven't got that bravery and youthful enthusiasm as some of them have.
Yes, you do. Yes, you do. But jokes aside, it is a very competitive field tonight. A lot of people on paper that could take this.
Yeah, of course it is. So it's national champs. I mean, it's the jersey. It's probably the only jersey in the UK. I mean, if you won the road champs, that's something else. So obviously, Connor's taken that to bigger things. But if you win the crit champs, I mean, with the Tour Series and the National Crit Series, that jersey's seen a lot in the UK, which, you know, is big kudos for riders and teams.
Thank you. Good luck tonight.
Interesting point of view there from Lampier, obviously talking about the difference between obviously the experience and the ability, but as you gain in age you need to use more of that experience, and unfortunately the ability starts to disappear.
Yeah, definitely. I think sometimes when you know what is coming and kind of, you know, you kind of lose that edge of, how can I explain it?
The sense chip. Your sense chip kicks in, basically.
Yes. You know what will happen if you come off, and it's going to hurt a lot. So you just yeah, it swings and roundabouts, isn't it? However, you know, Lamps actually, I think, in this season, he seems to have come back into form. You know, he had a couple of seasons where he was a little bit down, and he wasn't really, you know, getting the results that he was capable of.
I think that's all came off the back of having the opportunity to work with such a new project. And to be honest with you, take a lot of the pressure off his shoulders. He now does, as you see now, this is a prime example of why you have to make sure you're in the right place and hope for good luck. As this young rider here from the Wales Academy tries to get going again. Obviously, no laps out in these circuit races, and right now this young rider is having an absolute nightmare of a night. It's such a shame to see.
And already, I think it looks like his chain snapped or he's come off. I think it looked like Will Roberts there.
Yeah.
Real shame that, you know, he was really, you know,
going
going into
good form
that.
So far.
Yeah, and you know, going into that with a bit of a cyclocross change, and then come onto his spare bike and then chains off. So, yeah, not the ideal start. And he's in the big ring, and he's in the wrong gear, and it's going to be so difficult for him to get back to that leading group. Real shame after only, you know, 7 minutes of racing.
Yeah, absolutely. And you can just see there's been a lot of shots fired at the front of this bunch, with obviously the bigger teams, the more established teams, likes of Vytas Pro Cycling, Madison Genesis, as well as Canyon DHB, all really, really keen to string this out and try and get something away nice and early so that they can settle down and take control of this race.
Yeah, and you really want to ride it from the front. Great to see Richardson's Trek involved as well up here in the front in that orange jersey.
I think that could be Isaac Munday, actually, from Richardson Trek.
All in big, one long line.
It's quickly followed there by the man of the moment, Matt Bostick in the blue with a white helmet there of Canyon DHB, quickly followed there by John Mould with the blue helmet and the red shoulders to his jersey of Madison Genesis. So we can see right away there's splits left, right and centre in this bunch, isn't there, Hannah?
Yeah, and this is where, you know, the elastic starts to snap as Isaac Mundy now attacks out of that corner, down into the descent. But, you know, as soon as the elastic effect goes, it's so hard to close that gap to the lead as he swings the bike out using every inch of the road to take this corner into the finishing straight, leaving it to Matt Bostick to close that gap.
It's another example of why it's really important to put yourself on the front foot. As we can look down that line now, the bunch is pretty much the full length of this home straight, as Monday's going to be first person. And at this nice sweeping left-hander, but don't forget this circuit goes from wide to narrow repeatedly. This is why you need to be on the front. This is why you have to take the advantage. And we see right there in the background another rider having issues, having to do a quick cyclocross style bike change in that pit.
Yeah, and you know, this is what it takes when you don't have laps out. You have to be good all round. You have to be able to have a bike change quick. You have to be able to communicate efficiently to tell your mechanics and sports directors, you need a bike change, you need this, and you know, the quickest thing to have is a bike change as opposed to you know, a wheel change or anything else. Good that it happened though, going into the finishing straight. Wouldn't be very good because this is a 1.6 kilometre circuit. So if you have any problems, you know, on the back end, or you know, even just after the finish line, you can't go back to the pitch. You have to do a full lap before you can change the bike again. And
you'll find that the more established teams, they'll have staff round the course with two-way radios communicating to the pit, whether it's John Mould needs a bike change, or there's another example there, Vytas Pro Cycling. Yep, Joe Holt's obviously had issues, but this is why they have got spare bikes now. It used to always just be wheel changes and laps out, but now since that rule changed, due to be honest with you, just a lot of abuse of the rule, it's now made a more even playing field, and you see riders no longer having random issues with their bikes or randomly falling off their bikes when they're getting distance in the bunch anymore.
No, yeah, not anymore.
Nope.
No one can take advantage of that. Yeah, definitely, and it does make it unfortunate for those who genuinely have a problem. And I think it's, you know, with that rule getting abused, it's ruined it for the rest of the generations. Yeah,
it was always a rule which was always a bit grey, to be honest with you. And I'm glad that they have taken that rule out, because ultimately it becomes then a test of rider and bike and ability. You know, it's no longer about, you know, taking an opportunity and exploiting a situation which really is there for only use in emergencies, to be honest with you. So, but yeah, it's good to see that rule has now changed, and now, as we can see on the front once again, it's Madison Genesis. That blue helmet looks again like it could be John Mould back on the front. Mouldy is desperate for this stripy jumper tonight, isn't he, Hannah?
Yeah, he is. He's had 3 bronze medals and, you know, been so close to getting the victories, and yeah, it's one that he really wants to win. Could this be his year? Who knows? You know, Bostock's on absolutely phenomenal form. You know, and the likes of the riders who were up front, Gabs colleague we saw at Cologne Grand Prix on Tuesday night, you know, in tantalising form. We didn't see him play to his normal strengths of sprinting, but he was attacking constantly. Could that have been, you know, something to work towards of today's race?
Absolutely, and I must apologise once again for my Scottishness. I'm being too Scottish again on the YouTube live, so I apologise for that, folks. I'll try and speak fluently and eloquently for you so you can understand. Hopefully this is helping. Anyway, back to the bike race.
Speak a bit slower.
Sorry, I just get too excited. I get too excited and then I get really, really Scottish. It's just, I can't help myself. But it's great to see here at the front of the race all of the larger established teams willing to give it a go. Looks like Joey Walker up the right-hand side of the road, followed swiftly by Mr. Lampier.
Lampier, one of our ones to watch for tonight. We really think he could go well tonight. You know, a circuit that certainly suits him. We heard from him just a moment ago. If you have only just joined us, one of the most experienced riders, elder riders in the peloton.
Yep, absolutely, and obviously Joey Walker as well. He knows straight away you don't want to let a rider like Walker disappear, because come from some absolute pedigree of bike riders in his family, isn't there?
Yeah, and you know, as we were saying before, we were watching another bike change. This looks like Ali Slater now, who's in need of a change. He was the rider leading before up that little technical circuit.
Looks like his rear mech is actually ripped off at the back, so potentially Slater's had an issue with a crash, or has it just been a badly timed gear change? And yep, he is now rear mechless. As we can see, Larry Hickmott there just hands out wide saying, "What's happened, Ali?"
Yeah, no sense of urgency for Ali to sort of get to the pits and get a bike change, to be honest. You know, I don't think we'll be seeing him get back into the race because, you know, there's no laps out.
And that,
He was
for
not gonna make
me,
it back.
is a massive blow to Vytas Pro Cycling because they've been relying on Ali Slater, especially in the last 3 or 4 rounds, to be a workhorse. But just 40 hours ago in Barnsley, he was on the podium, and it was great to see
He was
Ali.
incredibly strong.
Yep, he's always been strong, fantastic bike handler. In this situation, he's the kind of guy you do not want to let up the road whatsoever. If he attacks, you want to be on him like a backpack when he moves.
Yeah, and I think Vytas's money would have been on Ali to get the result tonight for them. He was in well placed. He was in first position. I did wonder before the lap before when he pulled off from the front into that narrow section.
I tell you what, Isaac Monday is writing about it tonight because he is not willing to sit back. He knows that this is the most important part of this course. If he can get a few bike lengths going into that hairpin, he can take it at his own speed, just roll up that climb. But you see, looking over his shoulder, Johnny McAvoy having a quick check down that line. Little question to his teammate, do we keep on pressing on? And I think the answer was yes.
Yeah. Oh, have we seen another crash here?
Sheriffs.
Sheriffs here crashed on this corner. We've seen a few close misses and a few crashes in the women's race.
Mundy's keeping this going though, Hannah. He's booming with confidence. He just recently had a really good result at the Beaumont Trophy, one of the rounds of the National Road Series.
The motorbike.
And he's got daylight between himself and the bunch. So this is a good move. As Sheriff's just taken that corner just a little bit too quick. But we did notice in the women's race that there had been a bit of sand placed on that corner, probably due to it being a city centre and potentially being some oil on the circuit.
Yeah, we saw the marshals just sweeping it off after about halfway in the women's race, so they realised that the corner was really playing havoc with the riders. Mundy doing a superb job here, opening up that gap. Johnny McAvoy, looked behind him, asked his team, Joey Walker and John Mould, should I ride full gas, and they said yes, but he's not been able to close this gap to Isaac Mundy. Maybe, we've still got 36 minutes remaining and the 5 laps. Maybe, they're quite happy to let him out there a little bit. Let him dangle.
The thing is,
another
you've got to
rider with
remember,
a bike change and a bit of a problem here.
Yeah, it's one of the riders from Techers. They're just having a slight issue. Probably, again, another potential chain drop or a puncture. But again, this is just the nature of this racing. You need to stay on your toes, have your wits about you, and more importantly, pay an unbelievable amount of attention to what's actually underneath your tyres, because we can see here there are so many changes to the surface. It just takes you to clip a cobble at the wrong angle, and suddenly you go from being in the front of the race to having a puncture to being out of the race.
Yeah, but on the whole, on this circuit, apart from the few grids, there's it's very smooth, really. You just got the clinkers and the few cobbles, and the tarmac, very, very smooth. But it's just about taking the apex right, not clipping the grid as you go around it, and keeping it rubber side down.
I tell you what though, Mundy has slipped away here, and you know what, this is going to take a bit of a concerted chase to pull him back, as the riders from Canyon DHB realise that, and they need to get straight on the front and start pulling this back. Mundy obviously moving now to a slightly smaller team, having previously ridden for a few of the pro teams in the UK. He is not a rider you want to disappear. As you can see, very, very able to throw that bike around all of these corners, but right now he's got a good bit of distance between himself and the bunch. On a circuit like this is not such a big problem for a rider on their own, is it?
Yeah, it's perfect. As we saw before in the women's race, he's telling the motorbike to get out the way, get out of his, so he can take this bend, at full pelt, because he's got Canyon DHB chasing him there with, looks like Alex Richardson on the front. And he wants to be able to take the corner, at full speed, carry the speed into the corner, because it's a steep uphill. Absolutely.
You just look down that line there. Got 2 riders from Madison Genesis on the front, quickly followed by 3 riders, including the man in form, Matt Bostick, just sitting there third wheel from his teammates. Then followed by the wily old dog Steve Lampier from St Piran. So Lampier is putting himself on the front foot, making sure he's in the right place so that he can react to any moves that are going to go over the top.
Yeah, one to watch for tonight, but getting himself into that position, Mundy just takes a little look behind him, got a nice cadence, keeping the cadence high, being able to push at good gear, as and he's also able to take any of these corners however he likes. He can take him full speed. He's not going to worry about another rider, any other riders around him.
He's in the position now where he's dictating what's going to happen. He's the man pressing the button, not sitting back in 15th, 20th place thinking, oh my goodness, when is this going to stop? But right now, 10-second gap. But to be honest with you, looking down that that back straight there, a really long piece of road in this circuit, one of the longest stretches, and you could not see the bunch at all.
No, as he was going out of the
straight,
they were coming in, it's he's able to just throw this bike around. As you see, just eases the speed humps that he has to take on as he goes into that narrow section. He's onto another straight part of the section now, and he's already starting to lap riders.
Yeah, absolutely. I think Monday's kind of looking over his shoulder and just giving himself a little shake to think, oh my goodness, this is the National Championships, and I'm up the front of my own. He now has to really think about what he's going to do now. Obviously, keep persisting with what he's doing and hope a group comes across to him, but at the same time, you're not going to be hanging around and waiting for people to come across, because this is a great opportunity for Isaac Monday, isn't it?
Yeah, and with only a 10-second gap, it is doable that a couple of riders could jump across to him, but he's not got any time to sit and rest on his laurels. But he's using every inch of this road. He's really making the most of these corners, hardly having to brake at all as he goes into this narrow chicane section. It's Madison Genesis now leading it on the front. Johnny McAvoy, followed by John Mould and Joey Walker. Gabs Cully sitting tight there. Looks like one of the only riders from Wiggins up there.
Yeah, but again, Isaac Monday throwing this bike around this corner like it is on rails. It's great to see the rider here from Richardson Trek, not caring about any of the big names, not scared of any of the reputations, even to bring in the equation the 5 times National Circuit Race Series round winner Matt Bostick, who is evidently the man on form. But Monday here is potentially taking advantage of all the tactics. If you look down that home straight, the bunch is literally, he's out of sight, Hannah.
Yeah, and that plays into the hands of Monday. When you're outside, out of mind, you don't know how much of a gap you've got. Monday just got the thumbs up from his manager in the pit, saying yeah, nice one, looking good, and the time gap's good. So
I'm just coming into 20 minutes in, but the thing is here is there has to be an awful lot of communication in this group, because there might be some riders who don't actually know that Monday's up the road, so they're going to be relying on the pit area to give them as much information as possible, give them time gaps, because it's very, very easy to lose your bearings in circuit races, especially with it being such a furious start and not really knowing what's actually happening in the race situation.
Yeah, sometimes you can be at the back of the peloton, and once you make it up to the front, like you say, you don't actually know there's a breakaway unless your manager or a teammate says to you, this is what the situation is. And sometimes you put yourself so deep into the red that you kind of flapping a little bit, and then when you're trying to recover as soon as you get to the front of the group.
I tell you though, someone who isn't flapping right now is this man in our camera shot right now, Isaac Monday from Richardson Trek, looking very relaxed and very composed right now, considering he's off the front of the National Circuit Race Championships with all of the big established teams, mainly Madison Genesis, on the front of that bunch, just trying to pull him back.
As you see, he just eases those speed humps to take as much pressure off. He drops it down into a smaller gear, takes the bend, brakes a little bit, and then gets his cadence up to sprint and get back up to speed.
Absolutely. And we're now actually going to go across to the Madison Genesis DS in the pit. Roger Hammond, who is with Becca. Be interesting to see what he's got to say.
Well, I'm joined now in the pits by Roger, and I have to say it's looking good out there so far.
Yeah, not too bad. I mean, I was expecting a lot more explosion in the race, actually, more ones and twos like the ladies event earlier. But yeah, I mean, the guys are still in the race. We haven't lost it yet, which is what we always talk about in bike racing. Stay in control, stay at the front, and just don't lose it, and then you're still in with a chance of winning. So yeah, happy days.
And you mentioned it there, but let's just revisit the women's race, because Bex and Anna were so dominant.
Yeah, it was unbelievable. I mean, we unfortunately missed the start, but we did join in after 2 minutes of racing, and they were dominating from then. So yeah, it was a fantastic ride, and then to ride it from the front like that just shows how strong they were. Because we assumed it was because of the course, but it's not actually, because you see the men's race still together. So yeah, it was a fantastic ride.
Yeah, what do you make of this course? Because we're just by the turn that goes up that gradient. I mean, how is it out there?
Yeah, I mean, it is a technical course, really technical. So you've got this dead turn left up to a climb, which is really hard as a bike ride, especially if you're out the first 10. And then, of course, you've got the nasty corner into the finishing straight as well. So it's probably about the most technical crit we've done this year, actually. So yeah, testing their skills.
Roger, thank you. We'll let you focus as ever. Cheers.
Thanks very much.
Nice, interesting take there from DS, from Madison Genesis. Roger Hammond there, a man with unbelievable experience, having been, first and foremost, a professional rider himself, born and bred in the UK. His bread and butter was UK racing before he went across to Belgium, so that's an enormous amount of experience that Madison Genesis can rely on from that pit side, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. And, as you were saying, it's probably one of the hardest crit races this year. So it just shows, how hard it's going to be to win on this circuit. But he seems quite comfortable. He seems quite confident with the situation at the minute. Madison Genesis have got a few riders in that front group who are chasing Isaac Monday, our lone leader at the minute. But yeah, Roger will just be giving out information from the pits. And as we were saying before, like in the women's race, no doubt Madison Genesis will have another member of staff on the back end of the circuit giving information and also being able to say, here we go now, this is Isaac Mundy's going to be caught, looks like Joey Walker.
Yep, that's a big move coming across. I think Monday was waiting for that, and I think, to be honest with you, he'll be relieved that he's got a bit of company around this circuit now. But this now puts these two riders on the front foot. Now it looks to have to be down to the combination of Vytas Pro Cycling as well as Canyon DHB to come across this gap. But that's been some effort to get across that, because just one lap ago, the gap was almost distance to the whole of the home straight, which is give or take 20 to 25 seconds. So that's some effort by Walker.
Yeah, incredible effort by Walker. He's been looking good in all these crits throughout the summer, but what an effort. I mean, yeah, all it would take is Mundy to just lose a few seconds on the lap. The gap was only 10 seconds, so if he lost, 2 seconds, Walker only has to close, an 8-second gap, and he's made it across. This is forcing now Canyon DHB to chase.
Yep, the hammer is down as they know the danger is happening right now at the front of this bike race, as these two riders have now got a 10-second gap to the front of the bunch. So we know who's going to be in front here, Hannah. It's going to be the riders riding for their teammate, Matt Bostick. All the boys from Canyon DHB will be on the front trying to drag this back.
Yeah, they'll, after so much success and the confidence that they've carried into this circuit race championships, they don't want to let these two riders get away and get too much of a time gap. Another team who've also missed it is Vytas Pro Cycling. Now, we saw two of their riders have mechanical problems earlier on, Joe Holt and Ali Slater, so they're out of the plan.
Looks like young Callum McLeod there on the front from Canyon DHB with the blue skin suit and the white helmet there, quickly followed by one of Joey Walker's teammates. That's John Mould there, number 19, sitting in second place. But straight away on the back of those two riders, it's the man in form at the moment, Matt Bostick, ever vigilant, always seems to be in the right place at the right time, Hannah, doesn't he?
Yeah, definitely, and I think that comes with just racing your bike and watching racing and knowing where to be, and it comes with a lot of experience from he's a track rider as well, so when you've got that tactical nous from positioning and fast racing, this it kind of track racing,
yeah, it's very
and
transferable.
bunch racing goes hand in hand with circuit racing.
Very, very transferable. And of course, Joey Walker here at the back comes from outstanding pedigree. The Walker family are synonymous in the UK with having been thoroughbred bike riders, but Walker also has a massive background in track as well. Part of the British Academy, came through that whole system, now trying to make his own way now in the British peloton and being part of one of the best domestic pros we've actually got in the country. Yeah,
and also was a European champion, points race champion as a junior, so it shows the pedigree of Joey as well, sort of forcing a career for himself. He's kind of quite versatile actually, Joey. Mm-hmm. He was very much in his younger junior career, bit of a climber, then really good on the track, and obviously went on to the academy and spent time in Italy. Problem here for one of the riders.
That's a real shame, especially at that point in the course as well. There's not really much you can do, and he's pretty much consigned to the fact that his night is unfortunately over.
Yeah, probably not going to be getting back to that front group he was in.
Down that straight though, we had a time check there of 12 seconds, but I tell you what, if I was the teammates of Madison Genesis rider here on the front, as you can just see here, there's a sea of Madison Genesis riders there sitting in second, third and fourth. We would be all over that and just making sure that no one, just trying to get in the way of that chase, not be mean about it, but just get in the way every now and then and just take the rhythm out of it.
You just also preparing, if it does come back, you're in a position where you can counter-attack and sort of attack that peloton again, so puts Canyon DHB on the back foot again, because at the minute Joey and Isaac Mundy are in perfect position here. Madison Genesis in a very strong position with another two riders in the chasing,
you could just see the signal, the signal from the pits there as Joey Walker actually just clipped it inside there of that barrier. Luckily enough that is covered, but the sign from the barrier from the inside the pit was that the gap is going out. Bostick now, a little bit of panic happening in the back of this bunch as we can see riders gesticulating. We need to get riders up the front, but I tell you what, it's not an easy circuit to move up on, is it? It's
not an easy circuit to move up on. You've got Hollywood there, Matt Bostick also going back to get his riders to come back and help him. Also Alex Richardson's there. With it not being an easy circuit to move up on, and with the pace being so high, Tennant looks like he's had a bit of a problem as well. So that's a massive big blow
asset
for them.
Who could be on the front right now chasing. But what the best thing could do right now is that Callum McLeod should just shut it down at the front, give it 5-10 seconds, get together and then start to drill it, because there's no point in drilling it at the front, waving to your teammates, expecting them to come up when you're still going full gas on the front. It's just not possible.
Yeah, no, it's and also you kind of like two riders doing 100% effort for one rider only to just make it to the front of the group. So you can see there's a sense of urgency from Bostick. You can tell he really wants to take the national championship today. And also Callum on the front, sense of urgency that is kind of like, guys, come on, we've got only 22 minutes remaining plus the 5 laps. So, time's running away with them, and it's only going to be so long until actually the gap's not going to be doable.
Yeah, absolutely. We're now just over 20 minutes remaining until we start to see that lap board with 5 laps to go, Hannah. And I'll tell you something, alarm bells are ringing in that bunch. Mainly because Matt Bostick, the man in form right now, is on the back foot. This is the first time I've actually seen in any of the criteriums in the UK, or circuit race in the UK this year, where it looks like Canyon DHB are actually on the back foot.
Yeah, and also actually, with the breakaway, because usually they're always on it. They're always in the breakaway. They're always able to bring something back, and they're never kind of. The national championships is always a bit of a weird race. You never know actually how it's going to pan out, and sometimes a rider who could be in top form, it just doesn't go their way, and we've seen that time and time again.
Looks now we've got Ollie Wood. Yep, Ollie Wood's trying his best to go on the front as we start to see little gaps appearing again in that bunch, as Matt Bostick was just at the back of that little split in the front of the bunch. The thing is here, again, it's only one rider going to the front, and one rider's good to have to represent, but they need more numbers at the front of that bunch to pull this gap back.
Yeah, and you see Roger Hammond in the pits there on the left. He's saying, this is the situation on the road, giving him signals, just hand signals, because you can't really hear the sports directors shouting to you. There's so many crowds here in Rochester that the noise is almost deafening, especially going up that climb.
Yeah, for my money, Hannah, that's now gone out to the best part of 20 plus seconds right now, but Madison Genesis are playing a very, very good game. As we look down the line, we've got Gabs Kulig there just behind the Madison Genesis riders, and the blue and the red of Wiggins LeCol, but straight behind him, the wily old dog with the orange and racing green, Stephen Lampier, just hanging around, just waiting for that counter-attack so he can slip on the back of it.
Yeah, looking very comfortable. We saw him before, he was sitting around 15th to 20th place, and then he just moved up within a blink of an eye, and he was already at the front of the group. Just so much experience, and as he was saying, it's very prestigious to be able to take this circuit championships. You get to show it off in the Tour Series and the National Circuit Series and every criterion for the next year. So, to have this jersey on your back, sense of pride.
Absolutely. And Walker himself, he's had quite a few big wins last year in the National Circuit Series, where he actually won at Cologne and Sheffield, his hometown. So, rider of pedigree, as we said so often, but we cannot discount Isaac Munday. Previously been a rider with Madison Genesis. This year came down to the level with which, to be honest with you, right now in the UK, the club/elite level is becoming very, very strong, and we see teams likes of Richardson Trek, likes of St Piran, likes of Wheelbase Cabtech, the smaller teams with smaller budgets, but they're still not scared to punch above their weight and get involved, which is really, really important for this style of racing. Yeah,
definitely, and Munday just trying to get a gel or something out of his pocket, but yeah, it's always very important that these riders, you just get involved, don't be scared, kind of play to your strengths as well, and if you work as a team, try and outfox some of the bigger teams like Madison Genesis or Canyon DHB.
Absolutely, and again, Munday, to be honest with you, he's been the man of the match so far. He was their initial attacker, and it wasn't even a big attack. He just rolled off the front for this technical section, had a look over his shoulder and gave it a good little punch up that small little berg just after the home straight, and suddenly he had 10 seconds. And then it grew to 20 seconds. I tell you what, this gap's going out even further, Hannah. This can't be far off for half a minute now.
No, it's, despite all the work that Ollie Wood is doing, he's not being able to close the gap to Munday and Walker. But, Callum did so much work, the rider from Canyon DHB. Maybe he did too much, and actually now he's gone out of that group. Canyon DHB, if they really want to bring this back, they need to get all riders to the fore to help with this chase and give Ollie Wood a hand. Ollie Wood's very strong, but it's only so long that he can put in an effort like this.
He's only one man, and the most disconcerting part about being that one man is when you look over your shoulder and you see 4 riders from another team just sitting on you and just waiting. As now, with that gap has now moved up to 22 seconds, so they eked out a little bit more, as we can see on the left-hand side. DS of Madison Genesis, Roger Hammond, just given the international signal of the gap is going out to his riders, who are sitting nice and pretty in 2nd, 3rd and 4th, and as we start to see now little splits appear in this chase group now, the pressure's on both at the front and at the rear here, Hannah.
Yeah, but these two, working very, very well as they start to lap another 4 riders, but there's just going to be a sense of urgency for Canyon DHB. 18 minutes remaining plus the 5 laps. But these two working well together. So
absolutely, and I just little tweet came in there. Thank you from Casual Terrace. Enjoying the live coverage. Was it 2008 you won this, Jamesy? No, it was 2007, 12 years ago, and I thought you'd make the top 10 in the last riders, but that was a long time ago. I like to say the fact there was probably only about 30 people racing back then, but don't want to do myself a dishonesty. But no, the thing is with these races is that now they're so much more organised, and the amount of money and the amount of people who actually come out now to watch these races. We've seen in the women's race that the crowd on that finishing hill just after the home straight, the crowd was about 15 deep at the top of it. And cycling now, back then in the 2000s and the noughties, was a black art, but now it's mainstream, and we've got guys up there in the Tour de France. We're now bringing city centre racing back to towns like Rochester, which previously we hadn't been hearing about a town centre race since 1995, but it's great to be back, isn't it?
Yeah, it's fantastic, and it's been received well. These crowds are absolutely fantastic, and everyone getting into it on a Sunday evening, they absolutely love it. But yeah, I think circuit racing is a perfect way for crowds and fans to really engage with the riders and watch some top quality bike racing.
Absolutely,
you see them multiple times for over an hour.
Exactly, it's the purest form of cycling when it comes to getting it involved, taking it to the public, and showing them what it's all about. Cycling as a sport can be incredibly confusing when you watch the Tour de France, but this is a simple form. It's 1 hour, give or take, of just fast racing. First across the line wins. It's the purest form for me, and it's really simple to understand. But we can see right there in the back there, the red flag coming out there from the commissaire. He wants to get all the lap riders out of the race, wants to make that clear air, clear the park, so that everyone can get through and make sure the circuit's running nice and fast, so these riders who are up there for these medals can have a clear run at it.
Yeah, and I think that's really important to make sure that these riders still in the group and in this chasing group, have got a clear run to chase these 2 riders. Still Canyon on the front, but there's no other help from the Canyon teammates. Still Hollywood doing all the work. You saw a couple of the other riders sat at the back. It's now or never. They need to kind of start making their way up to the front, or they need to readjust their tactic.
As we can see, Hannah, it's only 15 minutes plus 5 laps left, and it's still 24 seconds. They're doing a really good job here, considering that, first and foremost, Monday was on his own, the rider at the front in the orange with the white helmet from Richardson Trek. He was on his own for the best part of the first 10 minutes. He had roughly a 15-second gap, but then, like a bullet out of a gun, Joey Walker came straight across there, and no one even had a chance to come with him. So, for my money, that's exactly the moment when the tactics have went backwards for Canyon DHB and Vytas Pro Cycling. They should have had someone on the back of that. More importantly, should have someone on the back of Joey Walker, because he's in some good form right now.
Yeah, definitely. Joey's in great form. But, they should have really been aware that Madison were going to throw another rider to jump across to Isaac Mundy. Johnny McAvoy originally was chasing, but they probably, reassessed and thought it's better for us to send a rider across and, leave it to Canyon and Vytas to chase.
And they've actually stacked that first 4 riders as well, because now they've got riders at the front to show a bit of dominance, a lot of presence, just to say, listen, somebody else goes, we're just going to put another man straight on the back of it, and that'll be 2 of our riders at the front. So they're in the position now of dominance. They can now kind of dictate what's going to happen. But to be honest with you, Isaac Mundy is not afraid whatsoever of Joey Walker. He's still willing to put a lot of effort in here. Really been pushing on. And in actual fact, we can go across to the pits to speak to the DS of the team, Andy Lyons from Richardson Trek. His rider, Ollie Mundy, is in the break.
Well, I've muscled into the action down in the pits again. I'm joined now by Andy Lyons, and I must say it's looking good for Isaac out there. Yeah,
it's moving away, 25 minutes to go. They're moving up to nearly 30 seconds now, so it's going to be hard to pull it back, but it can be done. But 2 of them away, so worse than silver, but still 25 minutes to go, so, see how it goes.
I think you're looking more nervous than he is, aren't you?
I feel it. Really, it's lovely to be in this position, amateur team, up there with the pros, so Isaac's a quality rider. He's a cross rider as well, so technical circuit suits him. He's been really up for this. So to actually see him, he's trained very hard for this. So to be in this position is fantastic. Yeah, but I am nervous. Yeah.
I was going to say, how much were you able to plan ahead of this, knowing what he'd do, and how much is it a case of getting here, looking at the course on the night?
They've looked at the course on video. A couple of them have been down because Joe in the team from Rochester, so they recce'd the course. They knew it was tight. They knew how they had to ride it. You need to ride this from the front and give it a go, because it's going to be hard to organise a chase to pull it back. So. Yeah, there's not much more you could have done, but the course dictates how the race is going to play out tonight. So, yeah.
Good luck, thank you.
Thanks, cheers. Thanks a lot. Thanks.
An interesting insight there from ultimately what is an amateur team, a club team, Richardson Trek there with Andy Lyons. But Andy Lyons himself was a fantastic bike rider, and when he was still racing at the top of the UK domestic scene. And it just shows you how important it is for these teams to be in a position, and you can actually feel the nerves from Andy himself in the pit. And you know what? It's exciting, but it's also it can be heartbreaking being in that pit and not being able to actually jump on the bike and do it for him, because you can just see the will in there, and he's got all that energy, and he just wants Isaac to succeed so well.
I think sometimes you're more nervous watching him being a supporter or a manager than you are as a bike rider, because when you're the bike rider, you're in control of your actions, you're in control of what you do, and you know what you're going to do and how you want to play it out. You can have some advice from your sports director from the pits, but for them in the pits, it's kind of like you want to be able to sort of like also be in the air with a race radio. You don't have any race radios in criteriums, but so the only information they can give them is once per lap in those pits. So it's very hard, and it should Isaac Mundy pull it off today, or even get on the podium, this will be a huge result for Richardson's track.
And as Andy Lyons' DS said there in the pits, is that he's a very, very capable bike handler, comes from a cyclocross background, and it's great. Again, we go back to that analogy as we now look back at the front of the bunch here. The chase is pretty much stalemated now with 4 riders on the front there from Madison Genesis. Canyon DHB are incredibly on the back foot again tonight, and to be honest with you, it's the first time we've seen them in this position all year. Usually they're unbelievably diligent, they're all over things, and they're usually the team forcing the errors for the other teams, but tonight it just didn't seem to be rolling for them. Yeah,
it's just not going their way. They've tried to chase, the chase hasn't come down, the gap hasn't come down. Now it looks like Moses is on the front for Madison Genesis, so they're just keeping things under tabs, keeping at the front, so not to let any other riders jump across or attack. Alex Richardson from Canyon DHB just coming round on the outside with the white helmet and the blue. Mole just moves out, senses the danger. Could Alex Richardson be the rider to chase this down now?
Looking down the line there, he is probably the only rider, along with Ollie Wood, and then Matt Bostick himself would have to come to the front. You get 3 riders in there, but 31 seconds, Hannah, it's going out even further. So just that little lap there with the Madison Genesis riders on the front and just slowing things down has helped these 2 guys gain another 5 to 10 seconds.
Yeah, and this is what these riders need. They're working very well together, but as soon as that chase group eases off, look at each other, the gap's going out. And that's good news for Mundy and Walker. They'll get a time gap when they go through the pits, but equally they've still got around 20 minutes of racing left. They just need to keep their heads down and keep working well together as they have been doing for the past half an hour.
This actually is a very interesting duo, to be honest with you, because Mundy is not slow. He is a quick sprinter, as is Joey Walker, so they're very, very evenly matched in my book. Bike handling skills, very, very similar. Physically, also very similar, so it could be a really interesting last few laps if these guys succeed in staying away, but it'll be interesting to see how they try and play each other.
I think, like you say, physically, they're very, very well matched. It's just going to be who has the better tactics on the day, who's the most savvy, who knows how to win out of the pair, who can, in the final laps, even now you should be thinking, how can I outfox this rider?
Mm-hmm.
Where am I going to make my move? Where do I want to be into that last lap? How am I going to be able to beat the other one?
The thing is as well, there's a very different kinds of pressure on both these riders. There's the expectation from Madison Genesis that they should be winning this, because they're one of the top professional teams domestically in the UK, whereas a team like Richardson Trek, they're a smaller budgeted team, local team, ultimately a club team. But a rider like Isaac Mundy, who has came down a level, he'll be wanting to assert himself and put himself back on the map to see if he can move back up the ladder in the UK.
Yeah, it's certainly shown everyone what he's capable of. Obviously he was with Madison Genesis before, and now he's gone to Richardson's Trek, so he's shown everyone what he's capable of. And I think this is actually the strongest I've ever seen Isaac Mundy, actually. He's really worked hard for this. This is what Andy Lyons, his manager, was saying.
Bit of action at the front of the bunch there. It looks like potentially an attack's went off the front there. It looks like there's another Madison Genesis rider. That looks like John Mould has decided it's time to go.
Big attack into that home straight. He makes his move. He takes a little look on his left-hand shoulder to see how much of a gap he's opened up. Now it's Bostock who's chasing with Gab's colleague of Wiggins-LeColl in his wheel.
That looks like Ian Bibby. Yep, Ian Bibby there straight on the back of that, then followed by Johnny McAvoy, I think it was, but now it's all gone. Now it's blowing to bits. Now it's quite interesting. Why are they chasing? Are they not confident in Joey Walker beating Isaac Monday in the sprint? Or is Mould just thinking this is maybe a British Championship, it may be a team event, but ultimately it's an individual event tonight with it being the British Championship?
Yeah, and also, I think also it puts, it was a large chasing group as well. There was 3 riders from Canyon. Steve Lampier was there, Gabs was there for Wiggins-LeColl. You had a couple of riders from Vytas. So it's kind of, if you're not happy with that, you want to kind of just split the group up and really make sure that, into the latter stages of this race, there's no other chase or attacks. I think, if you get another Madison Genesis rider up into this group, you can 1-2 Isaac, and it plays out into your hands as well.
And I think that might be the call from the pit next time when they come through. I wouldn't be surprised if we see Roger Hammond gesturing to his rider, Joey Walker, on the right with the blue shoulders of Madison Genesis, to say, listen Joey, just sit on for just a lap, let's get Mouldy across. That gives us 2 riders in the front, and it gives them a better chance of taking away that gold medal and that striped jersey. Yeah,
and as we were saying, because Joey and Isaac are very, very well matched physically, it's better to have more numbers in the front from the same team, so you can outfox and use the better tactics. As you can see, this isn't great for Bostock's team. There's one of his teammates, Canyon, who's already being lapped. So they're really on the back foot tonight, and we did not expect this from Canyon DHB.
Now, the unfortunate thing now is that, the fortunate thing from Matt Bostock now is that he's the man having to take control of this and ride across this gap, but he's quickly followed there by Gabs Kool-Aid as well as John Mould. So that's another ride from Madison Genesis. But finally, Canyon DHB look like they're going to start making some headway into closing this gap, but it'll be interesting to see what it looks like down this home straight this time, because last time we came round, ignore those riders who just came into shop, they've just been lapped. Be interesting to see when we get a long shot to see if they're in the same home straight.
Yeah, also Bibby has made it across into that quartet as well, so it's in the best interest for Matt Bostock and Gabs Kool-Aid to work together and help each other to try and chase these riders back. Looks like there's another Canyon DHB rider getting across to this group as well, so that'll mean there's 2 Madison Genesis, 2 Canyon DHB below Holmes, and it's Hollywood there, just got onto the back along with Gabs Kool-Aid.
I tell you what, it's not been an easy job for Hollywood to get across to that gap, I tell you, because you could just see the pain written all over his face as he wrestles his bike to the ground, trying to get up this really short but really sharp little punchy climb just after the home straight. But right now the information going backwards now will be Joey, sit on. We've got 2 riders coming across, but it's still a gamble for Madison Genesis. They cannot afford to give Matt Bostock an easy ride. They need to mess up the chase. They need to make him spend as many pennies as possible. As we see, the gaps now came down. Was originally 34 seconds, now down to 20, Hannah, so it's all still to play for.
Yeah, and with only around 5 minutes plus 5 laps to go, it's still, this championship is very, very wide open. We saw also Alec Briggs from Tekkers just getting onto the back of that group as well. Very, very good bike handler. He, spends most of his time doing fixed gear crits. Very used to doing, these hard efforts and, tactically and technically, very, very good.
Yep, so we just slid inside 5 minutes remaining until we start to see those 5 laps to go. It's now going to start getting very, very, very tactical, not only in the front here, but also in the back. But the pressure right now is on the man on form, Matt Bostock from Canyon DHB. He is now going to have to do all the chasing on his own, unless the rider from Wiggins-LeColl, Gabs Kool-Aid, can lend him a hand.
Well, don't forget, Jimmy, also Ollie Wood's still there. How much has he got left in the tank to help Matt Bostock? He's done a fantastic job for Bostock tonight. In a big track block, I think, as well. So, just depends how much he can recover from that huge effort he did earlier on.
Absolutely, and this is the thing. We're now getting to that point now where a lot of it's no longer about physically being the best, it's about being tactically the best and being astute. But I tell you what, that gap is still maintaining pretty comfortably right now, and it looks like that initial attack there by John Mould to try and force a selection has basically just whittled down this front group to all of the favourites.
And I think also, Bostock's realised...
Walker there, a little bit caught off. Almost got a high side off the bike there as he took that corner. Just got caught out by the change of surface there, but luckily stayed upright.
Yeah, very good by Joey to hold that one, and it wouldn't have been a good good thing for Madison Genesis. That would definitely have meant that they would have to ride to bring Isaac back, because as we said before, there's no laps out. So if Joey were to have crashed, then it would have been a big chase to get back. But you can just see how big this gap still is. They're already up the climb, and the chasing group are only just coming into the home straight.
It's Ollie Wood now as Tim Elvison DS just starts yelling at his two riders. We need to pull this back, and we need to pull this back now. We've got just over 3 minutes now until we start seeing that 5 laps to go. But that's a big boundary to go through psychologically. When you see that 5 laps to go, a combination of things go through your head, don't they, Hannah? You start thinking about how you're going to win. You start thinking about how you're going to save energy, but most importantly, you're thinking about how you're going to do it, and all those things starting through your head, and then suddenly you take your eye off the ball and someone slips away.
Yeah, as we just get a little bit of a replay of this corner, Joey takes it, just lost his front wheel a little bit, held it, like you say, nearly high-sided, but he recorrected himself, and fortunately for Joey, was able to hold. Yeah, definitely got away with that one.
Got away with it,
but how much would that knock his confidence now going into these final laps? So he's probably got around 7 laps remaining in this race. How is that going to affect his confidence going into that last corner? Because you've been confident the whole way around, and then going into the latter stages, you've had a bit of a near off.
Yep, could start second guessing himself a little bit. And the other thing is as well, was you can see the difference in the bike series, that the riders are now starting to use disc brakes, which obviously they're a lot more powerful, but they're also a lot more reactive as well. So just a little bit more of a handful of brake there means that your back brake or your front brake locks up so much quicker than it does with rim brakes. A little small nuance of the new technology that's coming into the sport, but you know what? It's coming. Disc brakes are here.
I love them.
Going to start a massive debate now is about to start in the last 5 to 10 minutes of this live stream about disc brakes on the live chat, I'm sure. But Monday again looking very comfortable. As you just pointed out though, Hannah, that little mistake by Joey Walker, as we always say, you're never going to take that last corner as fast as you're going to take it in that last lap, because you're going to commit 100%, you're going to take a few risks. Will that now be the difference in that last corner? Because Monday has been absolute dynamite as he just throws his bike around, so nonchalant, so in control. He's looking really good as Isaac Monday, to be honest with you. Yeah,
he's looking very good, and definitely Joey just took that a little bit slower than he has done in the previous laps. Just takes a real good long stare at Isaac Monday as he came alongside, and really putting him under pressure a little bit, and it kind of disturbs the nerves of
the game of poker has begun. Trying to see any little bit of weakness in your breakaway companion, just to see if you can cycle them out, because now it starts to become this psychological game. And as you know what,
this gap is definitely coming down.
They have pulled a little bit of a gap down, that's for sure. It's now definitely 17 seconds, so another 3 to 5 seconds pulled off that. As we look at the back there, and the red and the pink there, that's our single speed man from Techers.
Alec Briggs is still in the mix. I mean, we had a little chat to him earlier on.
He's a dangerous rider. He's more than capable in a circuit like this. Technically, really at the top of his game. Obviously used to riding single speed, which you cannot freewheel in, but he suddenly finds he's got another living gears in his bike and brakes.
Yeah, and with Alec, his background, he did used to ride trackers at a youth and junior. He did do road races, and then he went into more the fixed gear racing. So, he's very used to being within this type of racing. But actually, I think, his fixed gear stuff actually will go hand in hand with something like this, especially on a circuit like this when it's so technical and, having to deal with those tight corners.
The thing is, as well, he's an underdog. They're not expecting to see that jersey go off the front. Likewise, is exactly how Isaac Monday's ended up in this situation. And it happens quite a lot in the National Champs. It's a very, very different race to your normal circuit race series event or round, because it's not as political. There's more opportunities for teams who are not as easily recognised by the big teams. And a very much situation like that was when Tom Petcock won it when he was still a junior. And you've seen all the big teams just chasing each other, but Petcock, don't forget here, Petcock is a world-class bike rider, and I'm pretty sure he could have won anyway, irrespective of what jersey he was wearing, but he was almost invisible. They didn't actually look for him, and he exploited that to the best of his ability and ended up being the national champion, and has went on to be one of the hottest properties in cycling world over. But another situation like that tonight for Isaac Monday, and potentially again from the big man from Techers, Mr. Biggs.
Yeah, definitely. Hollywood really looking laboured now after doing all that work. The gap actually looked like it was coming down, but I think now think it's going to stay around the same.
I think so.
Look at the way Isaac's been able to take this bend. He opens up a tiny little bit of a gap to Joey, or is Joey just letting Isaac take it faster? Joey taking it a bit more carefully, knowing
5 laps to go, folks. So now we are in that point we've been speaking about for the last few minutes. Now the psychology and the tactics start taking place. As you see, the bunch now are on the same straight, but I'm telling you what, Hannah, they're going to have to do something really special. As you see the rider at the back there, another one of Isaac Mundy's teammates just tagging on the back. They've got really good representation in this group. They've got 2 riders chasing. We've now got 18-second gap now to these 2 riders at the front. But again, Ollie Wood still on the front. Rider getting a free ride here right now is Gabs Cooley sitting in 3rd place. He's hardly touched the wind tonight. Super fast in a sprint, Gabs. Fearless. He could be a man for a last-minute attack and potentially get across to these 2.
Yeah, I mean, we saw how strong he was at Cologne Grand Prix on Tuesday night. You know, he was attacking constantly. So, yeah, definitely could come and attack in the final laps, take everyone by surprise. You know, he is fresh, but he has got to close a 19-second gap to our 2 leaders, Walker and Mundy.
And at this point in the race, it's a big, big gamble. Do you use that energy right now to get across, or just hope that someone else will make that move before you, drag you a little bit closer, and then you can exploit that and go over the top of them?
Yeah, but I think sometimes, you know, you've got to be willing to lose to win. And if Gabs Cooley wants to win this, you know, he's got to make a decision pretty swiftly, whether he wants to get back or jump across to these 2 riders. It's the same also with Matt Bostock. You know, if he wants to take this title, it's now or never. 4.5 laps to go.
Yeah, Bostock's not going to have the luxury of sitting back and being in a bunch and having a lead out. He's going to have to speculate to accumulate tonight. He's going to have to make a move, and you know what? He's going to have to make that move in the next 3 or 4 laps, because we're quickly running out of road here, and he's also quickly running out of teammates to help him.
Yeah, Ollie Wood's done a superb job. I think he's definitely missing the firepower of Tennant, who unfortunately has been dropped. Callum also did a very big job early on, but you know, just kind of ran himself into the red and wasn't able to recover and get back in to help Wood. We saw Bostock do a bit of work himself, but you know, I think also if he wants to win, probably should give Wood a hand. You know, he's still got a fast finish on him, whether he does a bit of work or not.
Absolutely, and these riders now are just coming down once again on that home straight, 4 laps to what could potentially be a very much career and life-changing moment for both of these guys. Chance now to be national champion of circuit racing in the UK, which is one of the biggest kudos and accolades you can get in the UK, because as we have to remember, these riders are some of the best circuit racers in the world. The kudos you get with being national champion, it reverberates around the globe, and when you go to the likes of America, etc., they know that we mean business when we race across there in their circuit races.
Yeah, 4 laps to go now, and I do think, you know, the British scene has the best criterium riders in the world. It's one of the biggest scenes, hand in hand with America. Actually, they've got a lot of a big criterium scene, but I think the variety of courses that the British scene gives, it just, you know, creates some of the best riders in the world. And you know, we've seen some of those riders go onto the world tour. The likes of Brenton Jones went on to Pro Conti team. Yep. Alex Frame went on to ride for Trek Segafredo. You know, the same with Connor Swift as well. So Matt Gibson as well, obviously won this championship last year, now riding for a Pro Conti team.
And let's not forget about the man who we were speaking about just moments ago, Tom Petcock. Prime example of being one of the best in the world, and he was being national champion. So it means a lot to these riders, and from a domestic point of view for a sponsor, the amount of exposure that you get from being the national champion is huge. So
Yes.
it means an awful lot to teams, and this is why it's so, you know, hotly contested every single year, and is always at the forefront of each one of these riders' minds.
And sometimes, you know, the race never pans out how you might expect it to. I don't think in the form that Matt Bostock was in for the past 3 weeks, you'd expect him or his Canyon teammates to have missed this move. Likewise with Isaac Mundy, obviously he's been targeting this one and wanting to do well at this one, but you know, it just never plays out how you might expect.
Absolutely, and that's the thing, is now we're getting to that point, the real sticky end of the race. We're just going to be rolling back around. It's going to be 3 laps to go, and it's going to be a real point now where they're going to start looking at each other. They're going to start saying, no, I'm not going to do the work, you do the work, and that's when the opportunity comes for that bunch to pull chunks out of that lead that they've got and just see if they can latch across, because they just need to get a little bit of a moment where these 2 guys sit up and have a lull, and then a big move from that bunch can close that gap down pretty quickly.
Yeah, and you know, all it'll take is these riders to they're trying to outfox each other, but you know, that's when the gap starts to decrease to the chasers, because Ollie Wood is still on the front, putting in 100% effort for his teammate Matt Bostick.
Absolutely. And see again, Ollie Wood back to the front from Canyon DHB. His job is to do everything he can, run himself into the ground for his team leader, sitting there just in 5th place, Matt Bostick from Canyon DHB. He's been the man in form, Hannah, we've seen so many times in this national circuit scene in the UK. Won 5 out of 5 rounds just in the national series, but now it's getting to that point now where maybe the pressure's got to them, and unfortunately Canyon DHB for the first time in a long time are on the back foot tonight as we see 3 laps to go.
Joey Walker, another little look at Isaac Mundy there. Andy Lyons in the pitch just gives Isaac Mundy the nod. Mundy looking very, very comfortable and confident here as he sprints up
strong,
this,
isn't he, Hannah?
this steep climb.
He is
really
looking really
control.
strong. Yep, looking really strong. But I tell you something, Ollie Wood, he has been the man of the match tonight for his team leader and his best opportunity for the win tonight, Matt Bostick. Wood's going to do everything that he can. He's going to empty the taps, everything out, and basically with 1 lap to go, he's going to be pulling out the way, and it's all over to Matt Bostick.
Yeah, and can Bostick deliver and take that bronze medal, or can he maybe make a last minute effort and jump across to these 2 leaders? It's an 18-second gap still. Despite all the work Ollie Wood has done this race, unfortunately he's not been able to decrease it.
But now we're getting to this real difficult part now, Hannah, where we can just see up ahead of us with 3 laps to go. Next time round it's 2, and we've got riders still on the course. We need to make sure the commentators clear that pathway so that nothing untoward happens to these 2 riders, because right now they don't deserve to have anything out of their control contributing to the result of this race.
No, and you're quite right. They want to have a clear run to the finish. Nothing in the way to disrupt the race, or to to even make the time gap come down to the chasers. So they want to have a clear run, and I think next time they will be red flagged and pulled out by the commissaires.
Exactly. So now it's also going to get very, very tactical. You can now see there's a little bit of poker becoming more and more evident every lap round here as they're going to be sliding round after this with 2 laps to go, and it's going to get really, really interesting, because as we said so many times, that's great sportsmanship, getting out of the way, letting the race go, and you can see a little bit of encouragement there to Isaac Mundy from his teammate, just giving him a little G up. And I tell you what, his confidence is going to be overflowing, and if he can pull away this evening with that national championship jersey, his confidence is going to go through the roof, and I wouldn't be surprised to see him back up at the top of UK racing.
Yeah, certainly will. But the thing is, coming into these last few laps, how can he deal with the pressure? Being in this situation, Joey Walker's been in a situation before where, he knows how to win, he's won before, and he can deal with that pressure. Will Isaac Mundy, kind of deal with it well? How's he going to be able to, take these corners? He's still taking these corners full pelt. Joey Walker definitely taking it a little bit more gingerly.
And here we go, 2 laps to go, Hannah. Just over 3 kilometres of racing on this 1.6 kilometre loop. It's getting to that point now. All the information is coming from that pit. These guys, it's all down to them now. 2 laps to go. I cannot see this coming back, but this is going to be a brilliant finish, this is, Hannah. I'm really, really hoping for a proper race to the end. Lots of attacking, but I tell you what, who's going to be the first one to go?
It's all about the confidence as well. Who's the most confident to attack? Does Walker feel like he's got it in him to be able to attack him and win and shake Isaac Mundy off, or is he confident that he can win the sprint? Mundy taking these corners superbly and definitely faster than Walker after Walker's near off. But Walker just forces Mundy to come through now.
Yep, they're just trying to see if they can spot any little chinks in the armour, any little bits of weakness, whether it's an ability to take a corner or just a little change in the gearing, just waiting to have that moment to pounce. And you know what? It's basically now all about these 2 guys. The gap now is 26 seconds, so these boys are not coming back unless they do an awful lot of messing around. As we see now, Joey Walker just trying to get a little bit of life into those legs. A little bit of a psychological tricklet on yourself just to loosen yourself up and get yourself ready. In a similar way that you see boxers getting their smelling salts, that's exactly the cycling equivalent.
I think as well, Joey, if he plays this smart, he can actually force Isaac Mundy to sort of ride on the front for the majority of the rest of this race now, actually. They've got almost enough time to look at each other and mess around, but they
need to be really careful.
cagey.
Really careful. Can't be any more than just over 2.5 Ks left of this race now, but we know the gap is still in the best part of 20 to 30 seconds, so it's all going down to these two boys. They need to keep riding at least for another lap together, or else it's all over. They cannot mess around, and it's going to come down to a really interesting finish between these two lads.
But what are we going to see from the chasing group behind? Are we going to see anyone launch an attack off the front? Joey Walker just takes the corner towards the castle now in Rochester as he takes the tight left and then right-handers before he goes downhill and takes a left-hander into the finishing straight where he'll hear the bell with 1 lap to go.
Wouldn't be surprised when we hit the bell this time. There's a lot of finessing down this home straight, a lot of zigzagging across the road just to have a little look over the shoulder, check the gap as a last psychological check to just know that they've got enough time. They'll know how much they can wiggle, how much wiggle room they've got between now and the finish with that bunch bearing down on them. But I tell you what, back in the bunch, the same thing's happening. Guys are going to start looking at each other. Matt Bostick is going to have to make a move pretty soon if he wants to get across to this, but you know what, I think it's over and done for those guys in the chasing group.
All looking at each other, being roared on by, you know, a huge crowd here in Rochester. Brilliant to see, but, you know, as they go take this climb for the last time, they can look left and see if they can see that bunch chasing down on them. They don't see them. Mundy really puts the pressure onto Joey. Joey just looking at him, staying on his back wheel. As we see now an attack from Vytas Pro Cycling. Bibby follows.
Adam Kennaway quickly followed there by former national champion Ian Bibby there from Madison Genesis, quickly then followed by Gabs Coulig from Wiggins Lacall. These two riders still look they're sharing the work though, Hannah. This is quite good right now because they need to make sure they don't mess about. Just need to keep pushing on for at least another 200-300 metres and then they can start looking at each other. Get in that faster part of the course, get round this corner, on that downhill, and then they can start really thinking about how they're going to win this bike race.
In the last half a lap, they've lost 4 seconds. They still lead by 22 seconds to that chasing group. How much has Adam Kenway from Vytas Pro Cycling got? Can he jump across to them? Can he outfox them? You know, if they start looking at each other, Mundy takes a look behind.
Yep,
Joey Walker isn't willing to come through now.
So it begins now. 22 seconds they still currently have, but you know what, folks? This can disappear in a blink of an eye. 1 lap to go. Who is going to win this HSBC UK British Cycling National Circuit Race Championship? The pressure, I think, from Mad Money is on the shoulders of Joey Walker.
Yeah, definitely. You know, Joey's had some great results recently and been riding very, very strong. Great teammate to the Madison Genesis team. We saw him do a great lead out on Tuesday night at Con Grand Prix, but definitely the pressure's on him to take the victory tonight, being on one of the biggest UK teams.
And we're getting to this point again where we know this is the only place really in the last 500 metres you can really move up. So it's all about who's into this next corner. Can they hold the speed? As we see, Isaac Mundy lights it up first. Walker quickly on the back of him. Mundy has to be really careful and protect his line here. Does what Walker come up the inside. This is where it's going to matter.
If Joey wants to win this title, he really needs to start getting to first wheel. Where's he going to be able to move up before he gets to this right-hander and then left-hander?
As we go around this right-hander, quick left, really tight part of the circuit. A little stabby little climb here as Mundy got the strength to take this all the way to the line, but Walker's on the back of him. This is all about who wants this the most. Mundy has still got a bit of daylight between himself and Joey Walker. And you know what? It looks like he's going to hang on to this, Hannah, as we now take the final corner. Mundy in the lead. Mundy on the gas, but he has a slight slip of the wheel. Isaac Mundy on the front from Richardson Trick, quickly followed by... Mundy takes his foot out of the pedal. That is devastating for Isaac Mundy. Joey Walker takes the national championship, and there in third place looks like Gabs Coulig's going to go shoulder to shoulder with Matt Bostick. Looks like Bostock's going to take the bronze medal. What a finish, Hannah. I feel devastated for Isaac Mundy.
Absolute heartbreak. I can't believe nearly had enough on that last corner on the left-hander, and then he corrected himself, thought he had it, and then pulled his foot out, and Joey Walker was able to come round and snatch it from him. Absolute heartbreak. As we just get a replay, just his right foot comes out of his pedal. Devastation.
Such a shame. You can just see the devastation in his face. Then you see Roger Hammond, team manager of Madison Genesis, with his arms in the air. He'll be over the moon with that, because I think Joey might have just got a little bit lucky there. He was really coming at him, though. He was really pulling in that gap, because I think Mundy had the best part of half a bike to 1 bike length on him in that last corner. But it'd be interesting to see if we would have seen from the side on. But from our point of view, it looked like Mundy could have potentially had that in the bag. But you know what? That's bike racing.
It's bike racing, isn't it? And real shame, absolute heartbreak after these two have worked so hard and well together. But great ride by Joey, and you know, kept calm. You know, he also had a bit of a difficulty in the race, nearly slapped off on that corner.
Absolutely.
But you know, just a little bit part of bike racing.
And so
Big hug
continues.
From,
So continues the dynasty from the Walker family, following in his father's footsteps. Chris Walker, having been previously a national circuit race champion as well as circuit god, which many of you will know who are on the live stream.
I think he's outdone his dad though. I think on this circuit in '95 his dad was second.
He was second, yeah.
And now Joey's won.
Second behind Adrian Timmis, yeah. It was a long time ago that. But
national stripes.
Oh, I mean, I just didn't expect to come in. I didn't have great legs on the night, so I thought I'll attack across to Isaac and hope for the best. And to be fair, he was really strong. He had a bit of battle luck there, but it's bike racing, and yeah, super happy.
At what point did you allow yourself to think, okay, this is it, this is sticking?
About 10 minutes to go, but then, like I said, the gap started coming down again, and I don't know whether I was seeing things, but I thought I saw them coming, and we hung on, so yeah, it was good.
Absolutely incredible result. Congratulations, go celebrate.
I think going back to that, Hannah, a prime example of what we spoke about so many times during the commentary is that you never take that last corner as quick as you do on that last lap. And we've seen there, obviously, Monday had to correct himself on that last corner. And was that just what threw his body angle off and ejected his foot out that pedal?
Yeah, and I think also, when you have that added pressure, when you've just made a mistake and then, something else happens, I think, it's just...
Absolutely.
Absolute heartbreaking and devastation for Monday, but like Joey said, it's bike racing.
Absolutely, and there's your top 10, folks. Joey Walker, Madison Genesis, takes the stripy jersey and the gold medal ahead of Isaac Mundy from Richardson Trek, followed by the man who's currently on form, Matt Bostick from Canyon DHB.
They salvaged something from that, Gab's colleague in fourth, but Canyon DHB, after all the work they did salvage something. They got a medal, but I don't think it's the colour they would have liked or would have expected today.
Yeah, no matter how you slice it, there was always going to be pressure on Matt Bostock tonight because he is the man in form, and he did say at the top of the show in his pre-race interview that he did feel a little bit of pressure. And it was so unusual to see them on the back foot because, as I said so many times during the commentary, that they have been the most dominant team and the team who's always been on the front foot across the board in the UK this year. And it's interesting to see that of all the nights, they get it wrong. It had to be tonight.
And I think sometimes, when you come into it, it is a hard circuit. You needed to ride it from the front, and when you didn't have your teammates at the front to patrol the front, when Monday went, it was Madison Genesis on the front, Johnny McAvoy, and he just shouted and said, do you want me to ride full gas or do you want me to just ride tempo?
Yeah.
And it was Joey Walker who was able to get across.
Just see how cruel this sport can be, the combination of that last 20 minutes, so much drama. Monday thought he had it in the bag and of course pulled his foot. Walker rolled over the top of him, and you can see the difference in the adulation of Walker there in the, I think Isaac's...
Polar opposites, wasn't it? But
his morale's in his boots. But I tell you what, irrespective of what he gets from tonight, a silver medal is a massive, massive win for Richardson Trek, but also Isaac Mundy as a bike rider, as an individual.
I think that's his best result of his career, and I think team managers from the teams will have seen his ride tonight and be very, very impressed, because if he didn't have a mishap, 99% would have taken that.
It's a lot of what ifs, isn't it? But there's so many what ifs in cycling in general, because it's not a great way to lose a race, but it's also not a great way for Joey to win the race. He wanted to win that straight away, mano a mano,
and clean.
But at the end of the day, no one's going to remember that in a week's time. They're only going to remember is the fact that Joey Walker, and let's not forget about this, next week he's going to be rolling up as the national champion in his hometown of Sheffield with those stripes on.
And that'll just give so much motivation and morale. He won there last year, and to take the national stripes to your home city of Sheffield, in front of family and friends.
Very proud moment.
Very, very proud moment. And you forget as well, Joey's still so young, and to have won this senior national title for circuit race at such a young age, absolutely incredible. It comes
special.
with
It's always special, especially now, because every single time now they go to a national or any circuit race in the UK, he's got the accolade of being the British champ. And that seeing the white stripes and the bands around your chest, every time you pull that skin suit on, you just get an enormous, you get 23 morale watts, as people always like to say.
Even if he never wins this title again, he's still always going to have
in the history
stripes.
books.
He's going to have the stripes on his armband here, to signify that he was a former champion in circuit racing. But no one can ever take that away from him, and what an accolade to have.
Yeah, exactly. And even the way that he came across that gap, I mean, he was he came across it like lightning. I mean, Monday had like 15 to 20 seconds, and we thought, well, there's an awful lot of messing around going on at the back of the bunch, but then he came straight across that gap. Like,
yeah.
you know, like,
it cracked me up in his post-race interview. He said he didn't have very good legs, and he closed that gap.
It's all relative. It's all relative to the individual, and it's different points of view. But I tell you what, Madison Genesis really needed that tonight.
Yeah,
you could just see the happiness in Roger Hammond as he was jumping up and down with both hands in the air, almost like he'd won the race himself. But they really needed that result tonight, and that saved their circuit race series, I think.
Yeah, definitely. And you know, in a time where, you know, teams are Madison Genesis are folding at the end
Absolutely.
of the season, to have any result, big result, and especially this one that Joey's taken tonight, will certainly, he'll be on the radar of other managers.
Yeah, absolutely. And of course, will he carry this? I mean, confidence builds confidence, doesn't it? And he's not going to go to his home race as national champion. He won it last year. Could he win it again this year and be national champ?
Yeah, I certainly think he's capable. He had a big attack in the final kilometres, final lap. Sorry, you should just set a replay of Monday's heartbreak and devastation.
Absolutely heartbreaking. You see the difference here in the two different body languages. Hands in the air. Roger Hammond over the moon with that high five and as red as the ride past. But Monday, his head's in his boots. Such a shame. After such a courageous ride as well. I mean, the rider from Richardson Trek put on basically the show of the night. He was the man who was willing to take it from the front, and
he was the
so
person
close.
who attacked and forced this breakaway to go in the first place. So
I think we've both been in situations like that where you can smell the win and then suddenly it just gets stole away from you, and it's something that takes a bit of time to get over. And I wouldn't be surprised if Isaac's got two options. He can wallow in it, or he can bounce back from it and take the confidence. And the most important part is what he did tonight.
And he's
in the
obviously
race.
in very good form, you know. So if he goes to Sheffield on Wednesday night, you know, it's not going to be the championship bands it'll pull on. But you know, if he takes this confidence of his form, you know, hopefully he can salvage something from tonight's disappointment.
Yeah, absolutely. It's been a great race, to be honest with you. Been brilliant to see, you know, riders likes of Isaac Monday willing to take the bull by the horns, as we see Matt Bostick here moving on to the podium. He's been in such fantastic form this year. Did he just run out of luck tonight, or what do you think, Hannah?
You know, it's a combination of things. You know, his team, he only had one rider on the front for a while, and there was no other riders were at the back, and didn't have anyone to sort of help him and bring back that, but they were always on the back foot. So real shame for Matt Bostick. He was a real contender, but you know, it never goes your way. This is the racing for the win, and just because you're in form doesn't mean you're going to be able to win tonight.
The thing is, though, he's still walking away from the national championships with a bronze medal. It's not like all doom and gloom, but that again shows the class of Matt Bostick. You know, even though it didn't go to plan tonight, he didn't get the win, but he still managed to salvage something for the team when he's on that podium. And there's Isaac Monday getting a fantastic ovation there from the crowd. Very, very well deserved. You can just, he's a little bit at a miss just now. He's been so close and had it, you know, torn out his hands at the last minute, but irrespective of that, it's been a fantastic ride for a young rider.
Yeah, incredible. And I think, you know, it'll give him confidence for the years to come, for the rest of the season and years to come, you know, showing that, you know, what he's capable of. But here, winner to be crowned, Joey Walker.
I think he's still a little bit numb. He isn't quite aware of what he's just done yet, but I tell you what, next week when he rolls into his hometown with all that local support wearing that white skin suit, he's going to know what time it is, won't he?
Yeah, and he just pulls on that jersey. You know, it's something he's familiar with, having won titles before. Gets the gold medal, and yeah, I bet he can't wait to get his white skin suit.
The next question is it going to be white shorts or black shorts?
Oh, white every time.
Always about the bling.
Especially in a crit.
Absolutely. But here we go. Walker, I think, still in a little bit of disbelief. You can see Matt Bostick obviously a little bit dejected about the fact that he just sees that jersey just in front of him. But you know what? Still a very, very young podium. Again, all these riders are still very young, and it's long gone are the days of the more established, older, the veteran riders, likes of your Ian Bibbies, and maybe even more so your Steve Lampers, etc. Russell Downings. There has been a massive generational change right now, and this is the generation now of British circuit racing. Yeah,
definitely. But you know, it's great to see they've been dominating a lot of these crits recently. Actually, the younger generation. Get a nice bottle of
looks like a bottle of gin for them.
Bit different to
Dockyard gin. They won't be spraying that at each other. That's for sure.
Champagne, isn't it?
That is for sure. But folks, thank you once again for joining us here on the live stream. On behalf of British Cycling, thank you for being here. This has been the HSBC British Cycling National Circuit Race Championships. On behalf of Hannah and myself, we'd like to congratulate the medal winners and thank you guys for joining us tonight. Look forward to catching up with you guys at the next round on Wednesday in Sheffield. Let's see if Walker can maintain this run of form.
And a very happy Joey Walker pops the cork on that champagne. What a superb moment for him and a brilliant ride out there tonight. That's all we've got time for here at the National Champs here in Rochester. Two very deserving brand new National Circuit Champions crowns. If you've missed any of this year's season of circuit racing, don't forget you can catch up with everything over on the British Cycling YouTube, and everything from the world of cycling is always over on britishcycling.org.uk. From all of us here in Rochester, bye-bye. We'll see you next year.